Welcome to my Trippin Tales from my toadstool. I'm your host, Kimberly Dawn. Today's tale comes from an experiencer that was only 18 at the time of the occurrence. Tammy lived in Barrie, Ontario, Canada. She regularly traveled Highway 401, which is a large multi-lane freeway that never sleeps and runs through many major cities in the province. Tammy was headed home for the holidays. It was Thanksgiving, and she hadn't seen her family in over a month. Her father had passed just months prior to the holiday, and this would be their first without him. This is her experience in her written words. I left work excited that Friday. It was a long weekend. My co-workers, who were also my roommates, had planned a large gathering for the holiday weekend, and I was going home to visit my family. I hadn't seen them in over a month. We all headed home to get ready for our respective weekend to come. As I got into my car and shut the door, I felt one of those cold shudders go through my body. You know, like the type you get during a déjà vu, when all your hairs stand up on your body, and you have no idea what just happened, but it feels like somebody walked through you, and it leaves you with such an unsettling feeling like, what was that? Anyways, I shrugged it off and started my car. Except, it didn't start. I completely forgot about the moment I had just had. Now, turned my focus onto the current problem, which meant I just really sat there in my car wondering why it wouldn't turn over. Anyways, I arrived back at the house where my friends were laughing and listening to music as they drank coolers and talked about how fun the weekend was going to be. I joined them for one and relaxed a bit. I forgot about the strangeness back at work, and I felt a little like I wouldn't mind staying here for the weekend instead of going to see my mum. But I shook that thought off as I knew she needed me there. After my drink, I got up and went to my room to pack my clothes and things. As I grabbed my suitcase, I noticed the picture of my dad I kept on my desk, and I smiled. Man, I missed him. His death was so fresh in my mind still. The tears started to fall down my face while I finished packing and changed into my comfy clothes I like to drive in. As I went to leave my room, I looked back at my dad, and I felt a shudder go through me again. It made me freeze, literally in my tracks, along with cooling the temperature of my body down. The hairs were on end, and I had the strangest of feelings. What was this, I thought? If this is you, Dad, then do something. Tell me something. Anything. Nothing. What was I doing, I thought. Shook my head and I closed my door and proceeded to say goodbye to my friends. They were a few drinks in now and dancing. A few more people had arrived and the barbecue was lit. It looked so fun I decided not to run off and stay to have a burger. I called my mom and told her I would be arriving later and not to worry about me. And I continued to engage in conversation for the next couple of hours until I realized I had to get on the road. Again, I didn't want to. My friends didn't want me to either, but I had to. I grabbed my bag and off I went. It was only a few hours until I would be through Toronto, and I wanted to be on the other side before it got dark. As I drove away from home, I felt unsettled. It reminded me of the other times today this feeling had been present. I was young, and I did not understand it. Since I had nothing to do but drive, I figured I would contemplate what I was experiencing today as I drove along the highway. It was Friday night, it was rush hour, and I was kicking myself for not leaving sooner. I would have beat the traffic if I had. And as I thought of that again, I had another shudder. I had nowhere to go. I was trapped in my vehicle with no one to talk to, and just this dreadful, heavy, cold feeling surrounded me. I was on the road about 30 to 45 minutes, I think, but it was a long time ago now. And as I got closer to my mom's, the more the feeling wouldn't leave and the heavier it got, and I was even having difficulty now concentrating on anything other than it. My gut felt sick, and I literally felt like something bad was going to happen to me. I did not know what to do, so I prayed. Yeah, isn't that what we all do when we're in trouble? When we feel something we don't understand? It just comes natural. So I said, Dad, what do I do? Why am I feeling this way? I don't understand what is happening. And as I said this to him, I looked at his picture that I kept in my car, and I immediately heard in my head, turn around. It was shocking, but it felt so strong, and I listened to it because it was so demanding. So I turned around, and I started going back home. And as soon as I did that, it felt silly. And the whole drive back home, I was actually embarrassed about what I was going to tell my friends. I was also upset with myself because I know my mom was going to be devastated without me there this weekend. I thought about everything on my way back, but the dreadful feeling I had had all day. It was gone. I even felt light and happy, even though I knew I had all these other thoughts I didn't know what to do with. But I realized it was the first time since I felt that first shudder that morning in my chest that it was gone. And as I pulled up to my home, I realized something was odd. I felt great, but it didn't look like there was a party going on anymore. I thought that to be very strange since it was going full tilt when I left probably 2 hours ago now. I walked in and I found everyone watching the news in the living room quietly. But my walking in the room disturbed them, and they looked up. And when I saw their faces, they were shocked. They were in sheer surprise. Everyone looked stunned when they saw me. And then everybody was so happy to see me, like they hadn't seen me 2 hours ago. In the end, my friends had been watching the news, showing a 30 to 40 car pileup on the 401 just outside of Toronto. I honestly can't remember the amount of cars piled up or the amount dead and injured, but it was a lot, and it was a big, devastating accident in Toronto history. They had known when I left, they knew what speed I drove, which was always the speed limit, and they knew I would be exactly at the spot where the pileup happened, at the exact time it happened. If I hadn't turned around and came home, I may never have. I believe my dad saved my life that day. And since, I have had 2 more experiences, very similar, that kept me from dying. I'll tell you those 2 one day. I guess I was just meant to be here, even if I don't really know why. Well, what do you think about this story? Did Tammy's dad or someone else come to warn her of her impending death? Did it start from the first shudder in the car and Tammy not being able to start her car, to when she got home and she had the pull to stay home for the weekend and not go visit her mom? Then her dad's picture drew her in. More shudders. Seems like something was up all day for her, until she actually heard in her head those 2 words, turn around. What if she hadn't listened? Would the person who came to save her from the accident instead be there to escort her to her next life? As always, these questions are not answerable, only contemplatable. Tell me what you think of this story in the comments, and please like and subscribe so you can be notified when another story is uploaded, and share with anyone you know that would enjoy these Trippin Tales. And please email me at kimberlydawncanada@gmail.com with your tale, and I will gladly tell it from my toadstool. We live in a multiverse, folks, and the stories you hear on my channel are true stories told by the experiencers to help those seeking answers to what comes next and why we are here in the first place. Expand your mind, and until next time, I am Kimberly Dawn. Thank you for listening.